very simplistic, very easy to use, not a lot of features, you know, sort of clouding the way. The scenario would be, I'm a voter, I don't know where I vote, I don't know what my polling place is, I know where I live, but that's about it. So, Drew, take it from there.
So again, like the floodplain viewer that we just saw, we start out an overview of the county here.
And we have the districts, you know, labeled there, so you have sort of an overview.
Community.
Yeah, there we go.
As we zoom in closer, we can start to see more becomes labeled for the districts, and our polling places become visible as well. As we get a little closer, our polling places become labeled with their names. And again, when we get furthest in, we see our imagery and parcel lines come on again.
So again, it's gonna feel really familiar. I've seen this in the Tux Property
Right.
Viewer. I've seen it in the book. So now I'm comfortable. I'm not feeling like I don't know what I'm doing, you know, it's all looking and feeling the same.
And we can see here that our parcel lines come on, and when we click on one, we can see information for that property. So we see the owner, their precinct, district, where their polling place is, also gives them their U.S. congressional district, their senatorial district, and their legislative district as well.
Which is a moving target.
We
We are aware.
realize. Michael's been great about working with us on that.
And so here we'll see that this property, they vote at the Ebenezer Firehouse. So, you know, here this is pretty close, but say, you know, can't see it, you don't know where they're voting, go up here to the search bar again, you can search by polling place. If I can get it right. And that'll zoom right to their polling place. That gives the address for that and municipality as well. And we just try to make it as easy, you know, for our users as possible to figure out where they're voting, what district they're in. And if we hit the home button to zoom back out, get the overview again. And we also have the legislative district, the congressional district, and the senatorial districts over here as well in our legend. And again, just like the last viewer, we can turn these on and off by checking or unchecking them. So we check, we see the 101st State Legislative District come on over here, 102nd, 104th over here. You can see the 9th U.S. Congressional District.
Which is the
highlighted.
whole county, but, you know, we didn't want to leave it out.
And the 48th Senatorial as well. And over here, just our more information tab again. We have some information that might be useful at the upcoming elections. We have some links that are found on our county's voter registration page, which is also linked down here. The user can also click on any one of these and be linked to those as well.
And the disclaimer says, you know, we've made every effort to put you in the correct district, but for any areas of concern or discrepancy, you know, contact their office for the clarification purposes.
It's wonderful.
And that's it. I mean, this is just very cut and dry. We didn't want it to be very complicated or add a lot of, you know, fluff to it. We just wanted for someone to be able to very simply put in their address, find out where they vote. That's it.
It's nice for you, Mike, huh?
Yes, and the nice part that I was telling Drew and Cherie about was that a lot of people do not understand what legislative district they're in. We get that question a lot. A little bit easier now because we're all in the 9th U.S. Congressional District, but at one point we were split. We could be split again in the future. And that's why I had asked them to, even though it's county-wide right now for the U.S. Congressional District, it's county-wide for the 48th, you never know. And so we can work together to always add and change and update that. You know, but it's great, you know. Right now, all we can really tell people on the homepage is an address of where their polling place is. Now they actually can see it and see what it looks like and,
Awesome.
you know, follow their path, really, if they really want to do that, so.
And we talked with Michael, and we're going to work back and forth, like the information at the top, Drew. When this updates, you know, like what the upcoming elections and all that. Michael will keep in contact with us. This can be refreshed. And obviously, if the data changes, we will be changing with the data, you know, as far as that goes.
I think Jamie
Like
has a
I
question.
know especially in a presidential year, a lot of the phone calls you field are people saying, where do I vote?
Right.
So then, you know, over in your office, you guys will look it up for them. So do you get people when they call and say, I tried to look online, but I couldn't figure out where I vote, can you help me? I mean, do people try this first? Do we have a steep climb to get people to direct people to find it here, or?
No, I don't think so, because I think most of the time when we tell people, usually what we'll tell people is the address, and they're like, okay, I can look that up. And normally it's because they'll put it in their GPS, their
Yeah.
phone, or they'll go online and they'll look it up that way. But now my understanding will be linked right to a link to it from our page. So
Okay.
they'll be able to go right there to do that. And then that's gonna give them even more information, like I said, as far as, now, it's not gonna tell somebody if they're registered, because obviously that's one of the things I was concerned about when we first met with them, is that's always a point in time type of thing, because it's, you know, I can obviously download the information and put it in our county database, but that's as of that date, as of that time.
Yeah.
And it's always a moving, changing thing, and so that's why we wanted to make sure we kept all the links that we have on my page as far as, you know, where they would go to be able to do that.
You may want to put something out just a few days before election. You know, there's a lot of noise right before election, but put it out and you know, for radio and so on, to be able to direct people that if they'd like, they can go to the county website to find out their polling place.
Yeah,
There's no sense really putting it at the polling place, because if they found the polling place, you don't need
Yeah.
this.
That's
Right.
not true. I've observed people show up at a polling place that said, well, this isn't the right one. And so my question is there a way, I guess they'd have to almost use their personal pocket phone or something, because we don't have any of our equipment linked to the internet, so that they could direct them to the right polling place.
Right, now we can just give them the physical address, the same as we would
We
do
can
now
tell them
as far
where
as-
to find it on their own phone, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we envisioned that this would be on the first page of the website. I think there's something like a how do I section, and we would say, how do I find out where I vote? And then we would also put a link to it on the voter registration page.
Okay.
Drew,
But-
can you add Mike's cell phone number below? Just in case, you know, people want to talk to him.
And further, we envisioned that after the election, that we would roll out a map that looks just like this, but would show the results by precinct.
Yep.
So we could quickly link the results by precinct, color it or whatever, probably the day after the election.
Very forward thinking, I like that.
So again, this is real simple, but we didn't want to overcomplicate things for the end user, which would be very easy and simple for them. We didn't want them to have to struggle too much to figure out the technology. So that's the map piece. And Drew we went to a training and Drew came up with a cool idea.
I just thought of something that, but I don't lose my train of thought, and I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
So in our useful links, like it has PA voter services, where do I vote? Can we maybe add something as far as if they can find out if they're registered to vote?
votespa.com.
Right.
Okay.
So like I was thinking about that would make sense then, but obviously when we met,
Right.
I wasn't thinking about the fact that we should actually even have a place there that would be linked so they could go and see if they're actually registered.
Sure, we
Yeah,
can
that'd be
add that.
Because
no problem.
obviously if they click on their house, it's gonna tell them where they would go vote, but it doesn't
Right,
tell
if
them if
they're
they're
not
registered, so we could have a link there where they could actually do that.
Yep, no problem.
Easy.
Yeah. Okay, so Drew and I went to a training. Drew came back with a really cool idea, so I'll let him go into that.
We have another cool idea.
My last one, I promise. For now.
He's a rock star.
He is a rock star.
So, thought it'd be neat to have voters complete a survey after any election, so we could kind of gather some more detailed information that we wouldn't normally get from an election. So, just as an idea, I came up with this survey. You first go on it, and it's asked, first thing that you need to know: are you registered? You click no or I don't know. You get a link to the county's voter registration page. Just very basic information about yourself and this is completely anonymous. Or if you click yes, you are registered, then asks you, did you vote in previous election?
Back on the no, can we put that link there too, about
Yeah.
finding out if they're registered?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I don't know why I didn't think about that
No,
before.
no.
Maybe just because the registration deadline was yesterday and it's like what I'm thinking about right now,
Your
but.
brain is occupied.
Yeah.
So if you are registered, no problem. If you are registered to vote, you say you did not vote, it just asks you to list why. If it's not listed, you can list other. So if you did vote, it's kind of the important part. So if we ask you where you voted, all of our polling places are listed here. Ask you what time you voted, just listed in half-hour increments. So you kind of give a rough estimate here. This part, how long did you wait from the time you arrived to the time you voted? We were talking with Michael, depending on the election, we'll change these up to kind of what is standard or what is expected. And what
Yeah, because obviously for an election, what I was explaining to him is it's obviously a municipal election. I expect wait times to be a lot less than what it would be in a presidential election. Because I think that you have to understand what type of election, how busy it may be at a polling location. So is it reasonable to expect to wait in line, let's say 15 minutes or 30 minutes in a presidential election, but is that reasonable in a municipal election? The answer for me is no. I don't think it's reasonable you have to wait 30 minutes in line on a municipal election. 30 minutes in line for a presidential election, I don't think is unreasonable. Just depending on time of day, when it is. And we would be able to capture that because he's asking what time they're going to the polls. And so if they put 5 o'clock or 5:30 and it's a half-hour wait, I think that makes a little bit more sense than if it's a municipal and it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon and we have a 30-minute wait.
So again, we can change all of this information to what Michael would like to know or whatever's needed.
So the sole use of this would be for him to decide if we have to add precincts, add machines, and things like that.
Well, I think it actually even goes beyond that. I mean, it can be used for that, but it also would give us an idea of what's happening at these polling locations. Right now, the only way we know is if someone's calling and complaining or calling and letting us know. So obviously in 2016, we know that in Campbelltown, we had 2-hour-plus wait lines. Or if I get feedback from any of you that might be at a precinct and you can kind of let me know what happened. Other than that, I really don't know unless it gets reported back to me. Sometimes our poll workers are too busy or whatever and may not know what's actually happening as far as a voter's experience. So this will give us feedback because they'll not only let us know where they went, what time they went, how long they waited, but then they're also going to have more of these types of questions that will give us a general idea of what their whole experience was.
Will there be a place where they can just write down what they want to say if they have a complaint?
Well, at the bottom of the survey, we also have a section that if you'd like to make improvements, you can write that out.
That's what I was looking
Mhm.
for.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anything you'd like to say there, you kind of have the chance to explain.
So just be a new way.
Should we stop and wait for them?
It would be an all new way for our voters to communicate to us on things we've probably never known really unless they've called to tell us. So we're capturing a whole new data set that we'll be able to use.
So this
to
maybe
make all
leaves some
types of
phone
different-
calls to you on election day, and then you can review it the next day or something.
Well, that and a lot of times I think that as people are more savvy in using the internet and getting on and doing these types of things, it's going to be a whole set of data we never probably even had before. Because
The
before
other
they may
thing-
not even bother to call to let us know. Now we're actually going to get an idea of what's kind of going on, and it may even let us know kind of when people are going to go vote. So we're kind of have maybe an idea of when that will be, what their biggest problem was at the polling location. It could be parking, could be wait times to sign the poll book, whatever it might be. All types of information I don't think we ever even had before because we had no way to really collect it.
So all of this, the survey results all end up in a table that then we can take and match up with the mapping or, tabular data, either way. So then we can say for this polling place, these were the wait times, this is what the user experience was. So you can look at it poll place to poll place. So you can kind of determine where you might already know, in your own mind where you have some issues, but there might be some surprises along the way that, I didn't realize that was going on here.
Right.
So you can kind of take this tabular data then and report on it in many different ways, including mapping if we wanted to.
I have a suggestion, Michael.
Mhm.
Make a nice poster, if you will, to put at several places, at the polling places, indicating to folks that they can, basically critique the process,
Yeah,
help
because
us improve, give your feedback.
We actually have talked about that, and one of the things I told them is I didn't want a poster, and the reason why I don't want posters is we have so many posters already at polling locations
Oh,
that
okay.
people don't look at, I think it gets lost. So one of the things we talked about is how do we want to get this information out there? How do we want to be able
Give
to
them
let
a card.
Well, that's kind of what the way I'm leaning more towards has been
Yeah.
is having cards available where it has like for your feedback go to www or whatever, to
When
so
they
that
leave the polling
when they
place.
leave the polling
Yeah.
place to get their feedback that way.
Yeah, and we suggest rather than placing a big long link, we just say, available at the Lebanon County website, and again, we would have a link probably on the first page, Michael's page. I would also suggest a link from our maps, have links with both of the maps that are out there that they can quickly go and take the survey.
Should
Sure.
probably drive more people to the, get them using it more for other reasons, yeah.
Sure.
So that's cool.
QR codes are free to create, and
Yeah.
I would suggest that whatever you put out have the QR code.
Yeah,
and
we could
lots
easily
of
do a
the,
QR code, yeah.
Computers, savvy and smartphones will go right to the exact page, not just to the county website, but go to the exact page right away. They look for that convenience.
Yeah, we could certainly do that.
Does it limit one survey per,
Household or computer device.
per device at all? or-
Yeah.
so, Drew.
Yeah.
I'm not sure there's a big conspiracy out there to overfill the survey, but,
The one angry guy out there.
Yeah, right.
Fills it
Filling
out 50 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, not that I know
Okay.
of, not that I know of.
Don't mean.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's things that we can build upon, I guess, as we go, we use it, and we use it for the elections, and we have the data, if we kind of see things like that, maybe we could look into what the costs of something like that would be to enter, but I think at first, just to get it out there and just try to get people to use it.
Yep.
Great. Yeah.
No
No,
problem.
Thanks, Joe.
And that's pretty much the end of the survey. Was the staff helpful at your polling location? You can click an option there. You can explain if you like.
Good choice.
How easy was it? Click easy, any difficult, whatever. You can explain there as well. And then just to give your overall, 1 through 5 experience as a voter. And then, like I showed before, if you have anything else you'd like to add, improvements, compliments, otherwise, enter that there. Click submit, and it's good to go. And then we get all that information anonymously, so no personal information within.
And then that'll graph automatically? Is it like a Survey Monkey kind of thing, where you can make graphs with it and everything?
It's gonna come to us as tabular data, so we'll have some manipulation or whatever we do, probably link it back to the polling place and go from there with it. Then it's up to, we can map it, we can probably do a graph or a chart if we wanted to. But it's just another handy tool, that we have to use, and
Absolutely. And then we can see trends, obviously, and we can use that when we're talking about countywide redistricting. Is there certain items that are coming up for certain districts, voting districts where, the biggest complaint is because of wait times or lines or whatever it might be. We could find out if we're having issues as far as poll workers, and, yes, they're elected positions, but, we may find that, we may have multiple people complain about the judge of elections for whatever reason, and we can investigate
But this isn't gonna
that.
be in effect for this election.
Well, that's why we're here, I think, is that
Oh, you
they're
do
ready.
wanna do it this?
They're ready,
For
and
November?
so my thought is the earlier we get it out,
Oh.
and then we can kind of put it out there. And like I told them, yes, we're close to this election, but if we have it out there, have it available, we can keep building on it. And so, will it maybe used a lot this election because it's so kind of, close? I don't know, but at least if the board approves to have it out there, I think we should.
To give you a chance to look for bugs too.
Yeah, and then have it out there and start telling our poll workers about it, word of mouth. Obviously, we're gonna have a demo coming up soon for other things, but that'd be something else that we can talk about and have available and let people know about. So the more we talk about it, the more that we let people know it's out there. I think the more they feel that they have a voice in the process of saying, hey, yes, I went to vote, and then here's some of the things I think that you can do. Because I want the people to know that we're listening, and we want to hear what their concerns are and what might be going on.
The viewer is ready to go today. It's, you know, other than what Michael just asked us to add a few
Yeah,
things.
sorry.
But that's minutes, that's no problem.
Supposed to do that
So,
2 weeks
but
ago.
otherwise, it's ready to go, and,
And who's going to design the card?
That was the only thing, we just talked about what we may want to do, but honestly, we didn't get into that step because we figured the board had to approve it first.
Yeah,
What we
right.
wanted to do there. You know, and I don't know time-wise if it'd be something we'll be able to get out even for this election, because I can just tell you, we're swamped, so.
It doesn't
right
take
now,
long, if
but-
you have it done, it doesn't take long to get them printed.
Yeah, so they would just be trying to work all that out, but, we can talk about that, and then obviously that would be something that would come from my department, but, yeah, we would definitely, if you approve it, we'll work it out.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
we'll do it.
Okay, great. I just wanted to say, I thought these two have done an excellent job, not only on this project, which just kind of blew me away because they're like, hey, do you have time to come look at something? I'm like, sure. And then I'm like, wow, like I didn't expect this. And then also just with their help with the redistricting, the maps, you have seen those, they're awesome, so kudos. And you are a rock star.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, sure.